You're looking at rather classical zombie necromancer build with Baron helmet that only have 4.5k flat HP at level 95. While it sounds ridiculous, in actual truth it is one of the most tankiest necromancer builds thanks to new Mahuxotl's Machination shield from Ultimatum League. This shield allows for very decent defense layer through getting Divine Flash keystone from the shield itself and then adding Tempered by War keystone from Little Pride Timeless Jewel. This combination of inbound damage conversion result in the build that worry only about physical, fire and chaos damage. It can rely on focus defenses like getting fire and chaos resistance capped to 85% or maybe 86%, and clever use of Baron helmet with at least 1k strength allow build to get decent life leech from zombies, and that also can proc Everlasting Sacrifice, resulting in a huge occasional boost to defenses. Build rely on classical damage scaling with pure physical impale zombies, and also getting major damage boost from Spectres and Carrion Golem, while also getting multiple aura setup. Since this is medium to high budget build, here are in-game encounters that have been tested and done for extra clarity. Build is dealing around 10 million shape DPS in small zombie setup, can easily deal with Maven, Awakener 9 series, every single Guardian and Conqueror, including respected formed and twisted arenas, and only with Minotaur Guardian being an actual challenge for defenses. Build can reliably do red ultimatums including stone circles, and as usual for every single build on this channel, buff tier 16 maps are on the menu, leaving aside only physical reflect and no mana regen modifiers. The only part of the game where this build do not perform was Uber Elder due to minion survival issues. This is medium to high budget build and my total expense was 25 exalted orbs, including min-max items like Empower level 4 and Awakened gems. In this video I would go over Ascendancy choices, passive tree, gem links, unique items, rare gear choices and major mechanics of the builds. If you want to see more gameplay footage, I always play my builds live when I create them on my live streaming channel. And as always, huge thanks for everyone following me there and making content creation on this YouTube channel more fun and engaging. But without further ado, let's go for major interaction of Mahuxotl Machination unique with passive tree and cluster jewels. What actually makes this build so tanky? First of all, Timeless Jewel of Rakiata gives build Tempered by War keystone. Together with Divine Flash keystone from unique shield, this combination achieves 100% redirection of cold and lightning damage to chaos and fire resistances. And that includes cold and lightning damage over time. Yes, you heard correctly, this is the exact wording on the Divine Flash and Tempered by War. But getting only 2 keystones is almost nothing extraordinary on its own, and that would definitely put tanking of this build only in line with Bone Offering Max Block Necro that you can already build without Mahuxotl Machination unique shield. Key factor for better tank is to get the level 22 Purity of Fire with at least 2 medium cluster jewels and 2 Summer Commander notables. Together with Charisma Anoint and Sovereignty cluster on passive tree, build achieve 85% maximum fire resistance. Since build do not care about cold and lightning resistances at all, it is also easy to scale chaos resistance on rare gear. Build get maximum 86% chaos resistance with medium cluster jewels, chaining in 2 Born of Chaos notables on small cluster jewels. Overcapped fire and chaos resistance are major defense layers for majority of incoming damage and first layer of defense that can justify such a low flat HP. And while there are a lot of active defense for general and physical damage mitigation on the build, let's focus first on actual driving forces behind build big damage. There's a relatively big idea behind Baron Helmet and zombie setup for Mahuxotl's Machination. With Baron Helmet, as soon as build reach 1k strength, your zombies start leeching life to your own health pool. And thanks to all the interactions, that result in the overleech into energy shield. So build in turn can proc Everlasting Sacrifice, getting 90% elemental and chaos resistances. While uptime of this feature turned out to be marginal at best, it's still pleasant thing to have from time to time. While Baron after 3.10 nerfs would be never as fresh and as good, just like Walking Dead TV show back in the day, with all the modern ability to combine moderate aura stacking, frenzy charges, clever Thread of Hope placements, awakened gems and cluster jewels, I would call it Stargate Atlantis sequel over like Stargate SG-1 TV show. Main zombie 6-link setup is pretty simple with following gems: Anomalous Ray Zombie, Brutality and Impale, Minion damage, Multi-Strike and melee physical damage. Where it getting interesting is actual auras. Hosting zombie 6-link is Sakwal's Nest unique body armor with very nice 10% reduced reservation of skills and extra buff for aspect of Avian. This chest also possesses high roll for strength stacking for achieving 1k strength goal, and while 6-link prices at the moment are only 5 to 6 exalted orbs, price can go higher depending on the league and time, but also can be totally offset by Faded Connection Prophecy. Also keep in mind that free red red, 1 green and 2 blue sockets are easily achievable through 1 red socket craft on the bench. With that unique body armor in mind, build need to get Aspect of Avian on dually slots. My personal solution was this amulet with reduced reservation of skills and Aspect of Avian. Well, this amulet for 3 exalted orbs sounds like a deal of the century. Remember, Aspect of Avian is craftable modifier in the menagerie, and you have total of 4 slots where you can actually self-craft Aspect of Avian if trade offers are sparse or just too expensive and do not fit. With every other aura, everything is straightforward. Pride, Dread Banner and Summon Skirbots are pretty standard choices for physical impale damage scaling. Where it can actually get tricky is actual mentioned previously Purity of Fire aura. To get higher maximum fire resistance, you want to get level 22 Purity of Fire. While I got my +2 levels of area of effect on Mahuxotl's Machination, alternatively it can be achieved on Unset Rings, that are almost necessity for this Necromancer build. Also +2 level Corrupted Implicit affecting auras can be found on boots and gloves. Just remember that AoE tag also apply to Purity of Fire and usually cheaper than actual aura tag. While we are at auras, it is important to know that Sovereignty Cluster, Charisma Anoint and 5% reduced reservation on Amulet is enough to reserve every single aura. But to actually get some sparse mana for movement and utility, build need to get at least 2 extra corruptions for 1% reduced reservation of skills. And that is easily achievable on 2 out of 5 to 6 unique duels that build is running. I personally get my own on my Brawn and Efficient Training duels. Quick note that the last one is neatly placed near the Wish starting point to fit that 1k strength requirement for the Baron Life Leech. So with the most complex part of the build and auras set, in the next chapter let's actually dive into the zombie basic damage, which is achieved predominantly on the passive tree, Ascendancy and cluster duels. Since build is running 5 auras, Necromancer Commander of Darkness Ascendancy is a very natural fit for easier gear acquisition, great minion damage and minion survival alike. And with Mahuxotl's Machination, Spectres and Carrion Golem in mind, build is relatively start on sockets and passive skill points. So actually going for more traditional bone offering life on block setup with Glancing Blows and Mistress of Sacrifice is not really an option. Build is actually getting pretty standard unnatural strength and less traditional bone barrier for extra physical damage mitigation and extra minion survival. On passive tree build get Enduring Bond that synergizes really well with Convocation as main damage placement tool. Build rolled through Lord of the Dead for 1 extra zombie and place Medium Thread of Hope to get Ravenous Horde notable for minion damage and Cruel Preparation for extra life. Death Attunement notable with extra Spectre and Zombie is actually achieved through Brass Steel gloves and Second Anoint. These gloves are also major damage factor on the build thanks to the buffs from the Blighted Spores. And the next important step are large cluster duels to host total of 2 medium and 3 small cluster duels. And over here, build get the most from the minion damage with the best in slot notables like Renewal, Call to the Slaughter and Vicious Bite. Then the Righteous Army is pretty much natural pick on the passive tree, and with Grey Pack cluster on the passive tree, build not only gets extra minion damage, but also really important extra strength from Little Pride Timely Jewel placed next to the Agnostic Keystone. And in this house, build get a lot of extra defenses while achieving 1k strength goal. Since build is running only 4.5k flat HP, getting stun immunity from Unbearing Stance is a must. Thread of Hope is very large shrink allowed to pick extra life and deep breath notable for reduced cooldown recovery on Warcries. And speaking of Warcries, build get Call to Arms Keystone to automate single Warcry on mouse button 1. And that Warcry is Enduring Cry for endurance charge generation and most important, extra physical damage mitigation with increased duration support that affect extra physical damage mitigation duration from endurance charges and Enduring Cry. For that reason, build is running 2 extra endurance charges from passive tree and reduce cooldown of Enduring Cry with second wind support. And as I think, it is natural to get your movement skill into that for Link to benefit from second wind support as well. And on top of that first physical damage mitigation layer, build also can run castman damage taken on maximum level with Immortal Call. And to guarantee physical defense uptime, build gets small cluster duel with Enduring Composure for backup endurance charge generation. The next big stepping stone on the build are actual zombies. There are 2 main ways to make zombie build, either through maximum number of so-called small zombies or with Muntergrul's Grasp unique and the big zombies. Big advantage of this big zombie streak is actual price and simplicity. And actually it is necessary for consistent ultimatums in the red maps. Small zombies with all defense layers on the build present are just not up to the task of survival in buffed ultimatums. Carrion Gear Games wanted to kill players in this league, but yes, of course they managed to forget about minion builds without like Blessed Rebirth. Otherwise, actually getting one-handed weapon with minion damage and level of all minion or maybe spell gems is actually a huge DPS advantage. And also small zombies are actually more pleasant and faster on map clear. So pretty much limiting factor is your budget and ability to get extra intelligence if you want to use something like Convoking Wand over something like Rune Dagger that I actually use on my personal build. General TLDR of this section, that's get your Montegr. Yeah, big zombie stick if you are limited in funds or just want to do and focus on ultimatums. In every other case, 10 small zombies are actually deal more damage, have better clear, better single target, are good enough to deal with Maven and Awakener 9 serious. And after all that, in the next chapter, let's talk about actually every single trick to get maximum out of our zombie damage with Spectres, Carrion Golem and extra buffs. Frenzy and power charge generation is the most important step in minion damage scaling. Since build of hand is already occupied by Mahuxotl's Machination, only reliable way to get frenzy and power charges on minions are classical Host Chieftain and Stygian Silverback Spectres from River Race area in Act 8. Race Spectre Gem is slotted into Baron Helmet for extra life and levels. Then, Life Tap support is a must for constant frenzy and power charge spam, and Elemental Army with Empower support is crucial to allow your Spectres to survive in fights like Awakener 9 Sirius and Maven. And with Carrion Golem setup, it is a bit more simple but have several tricks as well. First of them, of course, Feeding Frenzy that allow for extra damage on zombies, and then Maim support that is nice gimmick way to get more physical damage from Maim debuff on your zombies. Another very important trick is to get Fortress Covenant into one of cluster duels, so you can get all the benefits while totally denying negative effects of this unique duel. And the next important note for getting maximum from the build is number of sockets. With one extra Unsent Ring you can easily get Flash Offering from map extra clear damage and speed, and you can swap it for extra damage with Assassin Mark on single target. Or you can get both with 2 Unsent Rings, or maybe get built-in Assassin Mark on one of the rings. Alternatively, you can fit Generosity support onto your Pride Aura with 2 Unsent Rings over 1, and with rare gear, pretty important that you need to get 1k strength. Do not forget about aspect of Avian, 5% reduced reservation, chaos resistance and potentially intelligence for Convoking Wand. Remember that you want to have at least 90% chaos and fire resistance for that occasional everlasting sacrifice trigger. Reduced mana cost craft can be a really nice addition for mana management as well. And while single Brawn unique duel was my solution to 1k strength goal, it can be achieved without it, and getting something like Watcher's Eye with physical damage taken as fire under effect of Purity of Fire is simply best in slot option for physical damage mitigation. And as obvious alternative, you can just get strength from passive tree with Might Notable or Warrior Blood Notable from one of your Thread of Hopes, or maybe even you can get Emperor's Might unique duel. So this was Necromancer Baron build with a new type of tanking. Really enjoyed playing this build, and my only complaint was very classical mess of Necromancer minion management that I usually try to avoid. But well, Necro builds are Necro builds. And in the following week I would be actually going for the Occultist build with Arakali Funk and Mahuxotl Machination. Yes, that would be another minion build with another Mahuxotl Machination setup. And of course, if you want to see this new build early and in the process of creation, you can follow me at my streaming channel. And until the next YouTube build video, please have a pleasant day and Foxy Shanks out.